It's a cool 23 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. Never mind what the political temperature is currently reading, because I can tell you it's heating up somewhere. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily, your daily dose of sunshine. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
And I'm Ayo Makinde. No, honestly, Maupe, it doesn't really matter where the heat is coming from. It definitely is affecting some people more than other people. I mean, if you stay closer to the heat, trust me, you're going to feel hotter than anyone else, as opposed to those people who are not so close to it. Well, it's 27 degrees in Lagos. Naturally and politically, as far as a whole load of Nigerians are concerned. Welcome to the show.
Indeed, Ayo, we'll see just how cool Lagos remains as we continue to witness this movement from one issue to the other. Barely had we gotten the news of Wike and the suspended governor of Rivers State, Fubara, reconciling, on Friday. Then we hear that the chairman of the APC, Ganduje, has now resigned, given health reasons for his resignation. And we also saw that, jab. Initially, when I saw that statement by Mr. Peter Obi, saying that it was a very honorable thing to do for the APC chairman to have resigned, I was saying, oh, what exactly is in this statement? When did he start commenting on matters in the APC in such a very kind light? Then I read the statement, and then for those of you who missed the statement, he used it as a subtle jab at the president. Well, I want to think it's the president, because he says, that he will also advise those who have health issues and have not been able to deliver optimally, should also toe the same path. He didn't mention any names. This is me just reading in between the lines and say, who could he be referring to? But, it could be anyone. Like, if you have a health challenge, do the honorable thing and don't run for office or resign? Which one of them? So if you read it as resign, that will be there. But while we're still trying to, come to terms with all of that, then we now hear this news, and this is happening as we speak. Don't forget that PDP had, excuse me, a bit of its crisis last week, where the chairman of the party, excuse me, I don't know why my voice is trying to be in the way this morning, but it will not succeed. So the chairman of the party, the acting national chairman of the party, Ambassador Umar Damagum, had a meeting alongside a number of other members of the party with the NEC chairman, and afterwards they came out with this recommendation that they were going to let the secretary of the party, Senator Ayan, will continue as the Senator Sam Ayan will continue as the secretary of the party. That was received with some mixed feelings. And then they also said that they were going to be holding an expanded caucus session today. But then you now had 10 members of the NWC, led by the Deputy National Chairman South, saying that no, you cannot just do that unilaterally. You cannot just say that unilaterally. Today we're having a NEC meeting, as we had earlier said. And so that contention remains. But what we can report to you right now is that security personnel have been fully deployed to the PDP National Secretariat, Wadata Plaza, here in Abuja. So we're bringing you pictures of what is happening at the PDP Secretariat as developments unfold. But these are all of the developments we're currently looking at within the polity. Sometimes it's hard to, take a look at governance. But we are going to be focusing heavily. While we're focusing on the politics, we're also going to be telling you how some of the policies that politicians who are currently holding power are affecting the people and what the people make of it. And this is felt usually in the area of security, for instance, where we have heard in recent times that one of the solutions that the federal government has come up with, the NSA and of course all the other security chiefs have come up with, is that we can no longer leave our forests bare. We cannot just leave our forests without, protection or without control in our forests. And so they've come up with the forest guards. Now, one would think that on a good day, we should, welcome that with open arms. But then there are communities that are apprehensive about this current development, saying that, look, for some of us, the local security measures that have been developed over the years as a result or as a response to the insecurity we have felt are currently working, and we do not want those systems upturned. So they are apprehensive and a little anxious as to what exactly the introduction of these forest guards will mean for them. And we are on the ground. We like to listen to communities, give their response, express themselves, and we bring those responses to the authorities. So this is something that they have to consider. After all, the solutions are for them. And if they're not very welcoming of the solutions, will they work eventually? These are the key questions. Ayo.
Well, there are many of the issues that you have raised, Mark, where at the end of the day, and there's something very, very crucial that you said, how do the people receive or accept some of these occurrences? And that's why I said the other time, it depends on how close you sit to the fire, because if you are close to the fire, you definitely will get burned. And there is that thing that many people say in politics, if you don't like the heat in the kitchen, don't even go. If you can't stand the heat, don't go into the kitchen. And that's, something that a good number of people have been speaking to, generally. But to the major issues that you have raised, the political actors, throwing jabs at each other, the one that stands out for me, Malkwe, is the fact that the rift, or rather the lack of peace in Rivers State has ended. And there is something that Mr. Fubara repeatedly said, that the suspended governor repeatedly said, that there is no sacrifice too big to pay for peace in Rivers State, because without peace there can be no development. And that statement, be it political, whatever you want to make of it, it is a very, very important one that I think everyone else should be paying attention to. Now, there is also two sides of the divide on that settlement by the president. On the one hand is the fact that, okay, the issue is as it is now. There are many people in Rivers State who feel betrayed by what Mr. Fubara has said, the kind of reconciliation and all of those things. Well, get into the details if you want. But there are those who are also saying it's the best way to go, because at the end of the day, the two gentlemen, we don't even know what they do behind the scene. But what stands out for me, Malkwe, the most in that matter, in particular, is the fact that it took another political party leader to intervene in a matter that concerns the PDP. For me, that lays a very, very important precedent that one should give consideration to. Now, you've been speaking about the fact that they have NEC meeting, they have expanded this one and all of that. All of that is happening. This is supposed to be the leading opposition party. So if Nigerians are getting the wrong end of the stick from the APC, for instance, who is calling them to bear? We remember, of course, everyone would remember, in the days when the PDP was the lead party in the nation, there was always an opposition voice that was strong and calling to action, praising when praise was needed, and knocking when the knocks were needed. We haven't been getting that since the APC came into power, at least not as significantly as one would have expected. Even if anything, it seems to be getting worse. Whether or not this is going to affect what's going to happen in 2027, I guess we'll wait to see. Especially at a time now where we understand that NEC is considering registering a new political party or new political parties. And then what is going to happen? What's going to happen to the PDP? Seeing that many of the leading leaders, if I can use that term, of the PDP are part of this proposed new political party. Where does this leave the people? Where does this leave governance? In every political party, there is one rift or the other. And you spoke to what's happening in APC. So the question remains, Malkwe, what ideology does which party run by? Well, many questions on the state of the policy.
I knew you were not going to be able to resist the intervention on political matters, which we will be speaking largely on the program. But I want us to go to that community in Ondo State that have expressed their anxieties with the introduction of the forest guards, saying that they prefer the local Amotekun because it has done a lot to make sure that they feel safe.
2025,
Suspected herdsmen launched deadly night attacks on farm settlements in Akure North, Ondo State, killing farmers and destroying crops. Camps like Ademekum, Dada and Alajudo were abandoned as fear spread. Responding to distress calls, the state government deployed Amotekun operatives, restoring calm and encouraging farmers to return. Now, with the federal plan to introduce forest guards, residents are uneasy, urging the government to retain Amotekun, whom they trust and see as more effective due to local knowledge.
We were very happy when we heard the news. Government is really working for us. But I want the federal government to know that the Amotekun Corps have been working for us here. The foreign security guards they want to bring for us won't be able to do the job effectively like them. If not for Amotekun, you wouldn't meet me here today. We just started returning here.
We beg our government to empower Amotekun people. So that's what I want to advise our government. We don't need anybody from nowhere. We don't hear a language. We don't know where he's from.
For these farmers, the urgent appeal is deeply personal, stemming not just from the lives tragically lost, but also from the widespread destruction of their farmlands.
Before the Amotekun will come, we suffer a lot of things in the hands of these herdsmen. Killing, burning all the crop, burning all the plantain, the cocoa, the cassava. They will go, they kill people. By the help of this Amotekun, as they come, we have peace. Even the people that run away, some are coming back because of the help. So I suggest and I beg the federal government to allow these people to continue their work.
Social worker Sheyi Ogundipe lends his voice to the farmers' appeal. Affirming their concerns, he says their fears are valid and emphasizes that security efforts must prioritize those most affected, the rural communities who feed the nation.
We are appealing to the federal government. We should not duplicate jobs. That's why you will see police actually running after drug peddlers. Ideally, we know that NDLA is actually assigned with that responsibility. Amotekun has been doing this job. I don't want us to have conflict of job. Amotekun, we all know that Amotekun, we can see them in our bushes, in our forest around. If there will be rangers, if there will be forest guards, it's a welcome idea. They should collaborate with Amotekun.
Many of the farmers, though not indigents of Ondo State, are the lifeline of its food supply, cultivating cassava, plantain, maize, cocoyam, and assorted fruits. Their produce feeds Akure and other urban centers across the state. Now they're calling for stronger security assurances to continue their work without fear, because without safety, there is no harvest. Well, that is the community that we're talking about, expressing their fears, and I'm sure that there will be quite a few other communities, who will also be wondering what exactly is this forest guards, what shape is it going to take, is it going to employ locals, etc., etc. But we brought this to the attention of the authorities. They can take a look at it and see, work out what it is going to be like deploying within the local communities. We'll take a break right now. We did promise that we'll be taking a deep dive into politics and political developments in just a moment. Please stay with us. Well, we're looking at political developments across the length and breadth of Nigeria. I know if you extend it outside, there will still be enough to talk about. But let's face home first. And joining us right now is Professor Udenta, who is a founding National Secretary, Alliance for Democracy. Good morning and welcome to you.
It's a pleasure to be with you once more.
Always a pleasure to have you, Prof.
So much.
Well, this is what we're looking at. Today, the PDP is supposed to be holding. Now, what name we're going to call that meeting is unclear. The acting national chairman, Umar Damagum, had said it was an expanded caucus meeting, but the NWC, some members of the NWC say, no, you can't do that. You can't unilaterally change what it is that we already agreed to hold, which is a NEC meeting. But as we speak right now, and I'm sure our pictures will come up shortly, we are correspondents on the ground saying that security men are currently being deployed to the entrance, I imagine, to keep a watch on things and make sure that things are calm at the Secretariat. But what do you make of the developments that we saw last week when the leadership of the PDP paid a visit to the INEC chairman leading up to now?
Okay, now, so let me try as much as possible to unpack, this apparent confusion. It's actually very clear, simple and straightforward. And I speak with a sense of history. You give my caption as the founding national secretary of the Alliance for Democracy.
That's a long time.
That's 1998.
Indeed.
The foundation of this particular republic. So I know the story of party, not just my own party. And I know party crisis and party, problems. And I know how parties can implode or decompose or fragment. Because I've been there. That's why it is defunct today. Because of this kind of crisis, we don't manage this kind of crisis very well. PDP problems started as political, but now have morphed into legal. It's a legal problem. It's not a political problem. All this is here are political grandstandings. The matter is legal. In a party, there is a head. The head is a national chairman. There is a NEC, is a national secretary. Then have the body composed of the NWC. The head leads, supported by the NEC. Then the rest will follow. The chairman of the party wrote to INEC, to the best of my understanding, asking for their concurrence in terms of having their NEC meeting as prescribed by the law alone. INEC replied, we cannot accept this letter, this communication, which is vital to validate it, except the national secretary. They didn't mention a name. Co-signed it with you. That means the NEC was dead as of that time. INEC is the regulator. Whether we like it or not, whether it's injurious to party autonomy or independence, it is prescribed in as a regulator. So whatever INEC says is very crucial for parties to listen to. If the NEC says we can't be part of your NEC, from where you can even program their convention, from where you can elect a new NWC, that will then lead your party to the next convention next year for the presidential election, if you don't follow that due process, critically, solemnly, and rationally, the party will die. So what did the party do? They rallied around to say, we have to go to INEC to now understand who the national secretary of the party is. The chairman is not in dispute. He's accepted that Damagu, after replacing IU, is the chairman. Who is the national secretary? There are three contenders. The original national secretary elected with IU, Senator Anyanwu, Udokoye, nominated by the caucus of the party from the southeast, and then Koshedo, the deputy national secretary, who at one time purported to be the acting national secretary. And they did not specifically rule who is. But the Supreme Court ruling is very clear, whether you lie or not. You go back to the foundation, whatever they call it in law, the originating, the beginning.
Casus belli.
So if you have Senator Anyanwu as the original national secretary, and there's some issues and disputes whether he should remain or not, you must start from there. If you deviate from there, and they could laugh at you and say, okay, fine, as a party, you're free to do what you want to do.
This is exactly what the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, had said over time, that this is basically what the PDP, the trouble the PDP stands, the risk they run if they run without Anyanwu.
It is not just the minister you referred to.
Yes.
The party is composed of organs. Today, the most vital organ is the Governors Forum, because of the weakness of the NWC. And mostly weakness of some other organs. That is where the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum has taken charge. The governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed. Virtually all the meetings of the party, caucuses, NEC, and WC have been holding in the lodge of the Bauchi state, in Abuja here. They drive to resurrect the party, regenerate it, renovate it. The idea is that PDP is, with all its limitations and deficiencies, the solid, concrete instrument the so-called coalition has. Talking about coalition is simply because of the perceived weakness of the PDP. So once it recovers, it is the most dominant because it's everywhere, in every home, in every village, in every ward, in every LG. So once you have the party standing tall, coalitions can build around it for a run in 2027. That means the governor having recognized that, together with the Governors Forum and the BO, they said, we need to do what is legal, even though it may be painful, especially to the southeast, that said that Anyanwu betrayed them or whatever happened there, we'll have a new person coming on board. The key thing is that in politics, you must take difficult decisions for the survival of a party. And the most crucial thing for PDP is that in the next 2 or 3 months, the tenure of this NWC, that is racked by tensions and difficulties and problems, will come to an end. So how do you manage and navigate these 2 or 3 months so you don't implode the party? So today's meeting is an expanded caucus meeting of the party because the chairman has pronounced it. Nobody in the party has the authority to relate with all the intergovernmental agencies. If the presidency writes PDP, it's the chairman and the secretary. If NEC writes the chairman and the secretary, judicial writes the chairman, if the media communicate to the party, it's the chairman and the secretary. Where the chairman stands as the head and the secretary as the neck is where the party goes. Every other thing is just letting off steam. It may be righteous steam, it may be sense of exclusion or anger. So the party has to manage that politics of inclusivity. But the legal situation is clear. INEC has rejected today's NEC meeting. So be it. The chairman of the party has accepted that rejection and has combated it after due consultation with the chairman of the governors forum, the governors of the party, the BOD, into an expanded caucus where they can sit down and then duly get Anyanwu back on as the secretary of the party and then fix the next NEC that will then now usher the convention of the party somewhere down the line. Every other thing is expected political noise, what we call in the Igbo, ndolo. You don't expect politics to be just a cut-off, one-off event. It's a process that is riddled with complications.
Well, it wasn't quite a question. I think the point I was trying to make is that this is the same thing. It would seem that this is what the FCT minister has been saying, but people are saying, look, this man, you're a rabble-rousing within the PDP. But it does appear that what he's saying has weight.
As I said, this matter has nothing to do with an individual. A legal situation is an objective, concrete situation. The party has recognized, because if you trace the background to that, which we don't have time in this show to do, that Anyanwu contested an election, contested an election, and that Benicio should have left that office of the National Secretary and the zone from where he came, nominated somebody else to replace him there. He said the Constitution didn't provide for him to totally resign. He may or may not. Supreme Court has now ruled and said, you go back to your records and find out who your true National Secretary is. To be on the safe side, the party then, after these months of convulsions and disputations, have to say, it is indeed Anyanwu. Not because somebody else has said it's Anyanwu, because it lost an Anyanwu space, but because the party, led by the Governors Forum Chairman, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, and other people working together, say, we have come to an inescapable conclusion. And we appeal to our brothers and sisters from the Southeast who are agitating that Anyanwu is no longer part of them. That what the law has prescribed, as expressed and interpreted by INEC, is crucial for party survival. We can play the politics of accommodation and forget the issue of legality. Somewhere down the line, APC suffered the fate in 2019 in Zamfara State, where it won decisively and lost everything. The party have to ensure that we do not suffer that fate and fate of other parties in the past. That is key. So the bottom line is that beneath the noise, beneath the apparent confusion, is a straight line.
So today, what your stance is
not my stance.
They are holding an expanded.
It is not the data stance. It's the legal stance. Once INEC has said your NEC meeting is dead on arrival, it is dead on arrival. We can protest, dispute, gather somewhere. That is not a NEC meeting. The chairman who INEC recognizes has said, together now with the National Secretary, it's an expanded caucus meeting. Party leaders should rally around that. And they run the chairman of the party, secretary of the party, chairman of the governors forum, and all that. So say, this expanded party meeting could begin the process of rebuilding the party and bringing everybody together in an inclusive manner. PDP is not the only party with this problem. Depending on the range of the positions you want to.
I was just about to say, let us go to APC, because over the weekend we saw the news, and I don't know whether that came to you as a surprise, the resignation of the erstwhile national chairman, Mr. Ganduje, on health grounds. Did you receive that with some surprise?
It didn't come to me as a surprise, because first and foremost, we should be talking more about the visible, manifest humiliation of a sitting vice president. That may be the one that should be surprising to you and me. For the first time in our contemporary political history, we had the Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and this who for 4 years was regarded highly, managed very well by his boss, Obasanjo, for 4 years. The situation became volatile and naturally degenerated into some irreparable political dispute in the second term. You have Yaradua, who had a firm, good, solid relationship with his vice before he died, before Jonathan became the president. You have Osibanjo and Buhari, in spite of issues and tensions here and there, who was highly regarded and highly respected. So he found a vice president 2 years into his tenure, was actually being told, you have no part of this, you're not part of this government. Because if in his zone, his name wasn't mentioned in the endorsement of the president, and if the party and the presidency reaffirmed that the president of this country has no known running mate in 2027, it's after the convention he will decide. It is not done. The tradition is a unified presidency. There's no separation between the two. So if you're taking one, you're taking him along with him the journey. History has expressly stated that. To say you don't even need him, he's not even sure where he stands until after the convention, where the president will decide. It should be a Tinubu-Shetima joint ticket going forward into 2027. That is conventional. That is what is accepted rule. If you don't do that, you're setting a precedent. The vice president will say, am I really part of this government? Do I constitute myself into a nuisance? Some people around me who fear that I'm excluded. That has come in now with even Barao, the deputy president, being promoted. Dogara being promoted. All kinds of characters appearing from the woodworks, positioning themselves in 2027. And the VP has just spent 2 years in office. I predicted to you here, failed economic policies, rampaging poverty, increased even fuel prices, and so on. Multidimensional, difficult for the people. You find that this government has ceased to govern in 2 years. It is now politics galore, culminating from the humiliation of the sitting vice president to the resignation of the national chairman on a vacuous, empty claim of health. So PDP is not only party in crisis, not only SDP, not only Labour. The implosion of APC is only a matter of time. And the problem there is that the president is away. If you listen to interviews from El-Rufai and the rest of them, the North is ready for him, apparently. So you have to juggle situations in the North. Am I bringing this person in? Am I sacrificing this soul politically in order for me to have a chance? And in the South, where you think it's pulverizing and neutralizing, that's the level of the upper elite, not the level of the masses. All those in PDP, they're not the country with the millions of people who voted them in. They are disconnected from them. They're completely disaligned from the mass of the people. That means he's away too. That on the ground, 60% of the masses of the South are not with him. That means if you have a coherent, cohesive, for example, a resurrected PDP and the rest of the coalition aligning with it, with a candidate maybe from the South, it will give not only the president a run for his money, it will flog him. And if the North is convulsing, as apparently it is clear now, that is a nightmare scenario for the government.
You've raised a very vital issue, because some people say that the resignation of the national chairman cannot be or might not be unconnected with what you have now termed as the humiliation of a sitting vice president.
Yes, he should be humiliated. Openly.
I think that we can delve a little more into that connection, if you see a connection between the two, but especially since you have also talked about the politics that's on the ground and whether the current president is trying to find a way out for himself in 2027. But I want to quickly go to what we're being told is currently happening now. What the reports we're getting is that the security personnel fully deployed to the PDP National Secretariat, we have said that they're currently there, but what our correspondent tells us, and he is someone who has covered PDP affairs for years, says that the deployment is unusual. They say that the officials of the party believe that this is to stop the proposed NEC or expanded caucus meeting. So it would seem that whatever caucus meeting, is going to be held today, whether NEC meeting or caucus meeting, it does appear that that meeting might not be holding with the presence of the number of security men.
I can clarify that.
Okay, that have now been deployed there. But from what our correspondent also says, he says that some members of staff of the party have been allowed to go into the premises of the secretariat without any resistance from the police. So we're very reluctant to use that word siege, siege on the Wadata Plaza. But the pictures that we're seeing says that the deployment is unusual and that the police are beginning to cordon off Dalaba Street, which is the road leading into Wadata Plaza. So it's unclear whether this is to prevent the meeting from holding or whether this is to provide security for those who will be converging on the Wadata Plaza for the security for the NEC caucus meeting?
I can clarify that.
Okay.
Even though I'm not a member of the party, I run parties.
Okay.
A very important, formidable political party. When PDP was accused of not having paid ground rent, and the FCT shut her down the secretariat,
yes,
the party had about 4 meetings: caucus meeting, NEC meeting, at Legacy House, at the Governor's Forum, at the Governor of Bauchi State's Lodge.
Indeed.
So the secretariat is important. But that's not the only venue the party can meet. The party meets as a body of individuals. Where the national secretary, the national chairman, and the leadership of the party is, that's where the party is.
So you think?
So in essence,
yeah,
if you have this kind of contestation, whether it is genuine contestation or letting off steam, by right, the law has to intervene. It is normal that when you have such a dicey situation,
a contestation as to whether or not it's a NEC meeting,
yes, you don't leave anything,
or whether it's an expanded
that's not the
meeting.
issue. You don't leave anything to chance in order to avoid some fracas.
So you think the security agencies are being preemptive?
You have to be preemptive. I mean, you give it to them at this stage until later you can begin to find some other motive behind their involvement and their presence. But for now, when you have this kind of contestation, the point is that the chairman of the party is the one that proclaims with the national secretary the mood of the party meeting, even though with concurrence of the other members of the NWC and the NEC. So if they have the chairman of the party and the secretary of the party and the leadership of the Governor's Forum and the rest of the party leaders saying it is an expanded caucus meeting, and we're meeting in the lodge of the Bauchi governor, or meeting in Legacy House, that is where the meeting hold. If INEC is to be invited, INEC will appear there. INEC will never appear at a meeting he doesn't recognize. Because even if you hold your so-called NEC meeting by the deputy chairman, he's not known by INEC. He doesn't know who he is. You can't have said communication from him. It's only Damagu and now Anyangu that have said communication. And the key thing for the South, he's not from the South, he's a very proud person from the Southeast. The South has paid its due in PDP. From 1998, the party was formed by Elise Kwame, former vice president, who been expected to become president in 1999. The party delivered for the party. The strategic option for the PDP Southeast caucus now is to say, in the next convention, this national secretary position that is wobbling for us, it is going to be rezoned back to us. We can have opportunity for 4 years to present somebody. We can't end it all or scatter it all in 2-3 months. When the tenure of this NWC will come to an end. So today, the expanded caucus meeting of the party, endorsed by the chairman and the secretary, with the leadership of the Governor's Forum, and the rest of the party, including the Reconciliation Committee, we meet whenever they have to meet and take crucial decisions about the life of the party going forward. Yeah,
so let me quickly come back to the APC, because you quickly said, let's talk about the humiliation of a sitting vice president. But, while this ticket, because you said it's one ticket.
It's a conjoined ticket.
Yes, that of the president and the vice president. Yes. For 4 years, isn't that correct?
It's only 2 years now.
Yes, but is it?
And it can't be endorsed.
Is it guaranteed? Is it guaranteed for 4 years? I mean, for another 4 years. Well, is it guaranteed? Is it set somewhere? Or is it exactly convention?
Even if you look at the practice of this democracy from those we borrowed from, I'm not going to say I'm diminishing Nigerian independence, autonomy, or political choice. But it's a presidential system. Here you have Biden for that 4 years, Kamala Harris. We had Obama for 8 years with Biden. We had Reagan for 8 years with Bush. It can go on and go on. It's rare. Because the choice of a running mate is the most important choice in the cycle of the presidential election. That's spectrum. From the day you are nominated to when you are sworn in. Because here, the VP is a heartbeat away from power. God forbid, in case it happens, across the world to a president. He's a VP that steps in. So you wouldn't want somebody who does not reflect you. Your tendency, your inner thinking, your thought processes, your vision of policy and so on. So if he maintains that, then he's going to run with you, not only for the completion of the first term, but for the completion of the second term, if he so desires to seek for it. For you to do otherwise, must convince the people that this choice was wrong at the issue. So 2 years into the tenure, you're having a party declaring openly to the chagrin of Nigerians or the bemusement of the public that it is when you have a convention renominating the president, who will then decide. And you as sitting vice president, what would you do?
Was it the one who said that? Wasn't that
the party says so that here the presidency concurred with that party statement. You can check the record. Fact check me on that. The party said until the convention is done, and then the presidency said, no, president will not make a decision until the convention. So if that is true, you are sending a signal to the running mate, to the vice president, who is conjoined with the president, whose heart beats with his own, whose passion and vision aligns with his. Oh boy, you may not be part of this ticket anymore. That's what happened in Northeast. That's why there was a meltdown. That's why they had to smuggle away party leaders. So they crack up the find in opposition parties because they're out of power. But the power contestation in APC will soon begin to gather steam. And as I predicted here and other platforms, because the president ab initio transcended the political state, disavowed the political class, they not include them from the day he took office. Subsidy is gone and so on. Without due consultation. He now thinks after 2 years of failed policies, he has to go back to politics. Greater politics shortening governance. Because the moment it begins, Ndorondoro takes charge. It becomes not only obsessive, it becomes takes a life of its own.
Which, Professor Denta, I really have I have a lot of questions, to be very honest, because I keep wondering whether or not we can afford this, 4-yearly democracy, especially when you look at when the real politicking begins and, just how long we have for governance. There's so many questions to ask you. Even the formation of the ADA, whether it is possible, what steam they can gather, and what will happen to them should the PDP be resuscitated.
I can take care of that too.
In 30 seconds.
Yes, quickly.
1 minute.
ADA is, call it a child of necessity in waiting. If for any reason the dominant parties existing do not get it right, they will have a backdrop that there is something fresh, branded out there that is not contaminated by regime intent, by regime to do what? Destroy its autonomy of space and voice. So people around can say, oh my God, if PDP is still wobbling. Well, I hope not. And the SDP can see the level of controversy there and level party. ADA may become that platform, that apparatus that can latch onto. But I do know that time is on the side of PDP. You know why? Presidential nomination process will begin late May to July 2026. That's why people are alarmed with the rush to judgment by this president and his team over the convulsions even in the polity and the party, APC. PDP will do a convention between August and October. You still have November and December, end of the year, to consolidate and rebuild your ranks. And then the next 6 months to do what? Because you already existed in the hearts and minds of millions of Nigerians, in every home, in every village, in every ward. Not that the party is the best, like always we say, but if you don't have a party as strong as PDP, marshalling this multi-party democratic front to resist this increasing hybrid nature of this regime, its authoritarian mindset, its descent into liberalism and authoritarianism. If you don't have the PDP with its wide nationwide presence, it isn't just a question of coalition in space, but a coalition in context. That's why the PDP is vital to the survival of opposition politics, being one of the legacy parties of this republic from 1998.
Well, Prof, we have to thank you very much for coming on the program this morning, and we hope that you will come again when we invite you.
I'm always available for you.
Thank you so much. Professor Odenta is the founding national secretary for the Alliance for Democracy, and we've been speaking on developments around politics in our country. Sunrise will continue in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now let's talk about Bayelsa State, and one of the most prominent issues that are risen in Bayelsa recently is that of security scare. I prefer to use that term, but we'll get into the details this morning with Varada Abednego, as you've seen in our welcoming slide, is technical advisor, communication and strategy to the Bayelsa State Governor. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's no longer an elephant in the room. It's actually an elephant in the public right now. That, and for no less a person than the Chief Justice of a state, abducted. Now that definitely is scary.
It's not the Chief Justice.
It's the
Justice of the High Court.
Okay.
Yeah. I think everyone should be concerned, but not like it's scary. Scary is quite a strong statement. That,
you don't think it is scary for someone to be abducted?
No, for those who have passed through that, they understand how difficult and painful, traumatizing it is, especially for the families, emotional trauma, all of that. So yeah, it's scary, but at this level of discourse also, oh, it's scary. It portends some information that if one is not careful, think that, oh, Bayelsa State is really on the wrong path of history. In real terms, what has happened is quite an isolated case, and it's largely regrettable. Anytime I want to talk about it, at whatever platform, the first thing is to try as much as possible to encourage the family for them to be strong, because the Bayelsa State government is standing by them, standing with them, standing for them. And all Bayelsans, across party lines, political leaders, traditional and opinion leaders, all hands are on deck. The security agencies all working, and we are very comfortable with the patterns they're applying. The only thing that has not happened now is the release of the jurist. But we believe in the shortest possible time that is going to be realized. Just that it has to be very professionally done, so that at the end of the day we'll have cause to celebrate his release. Can you confirm that security agencies have located the hideout of the abductors, according to the Yenagoa MBA? Yeah, I think there isn't a question that is most appropriate than this. The reason being that we have always said, and let me say it for the often time here, there is no way you commit a crime in Bayelsa State and you escape. It's impossible as it stands now, because of what the police and sister security organizations have on ground in collaboration with what the Bayelsa State government has provided for them in terms of the perquisites of operations, whether aerially or on ground. The exit point and the entry points of Bayelsa State are well mapped. There is total. I'm coming. There is total. But there are many other questions to ask. So I am saying yes. We're quite close. That is why we're just being careful not to give out certain information. But we're saying the security agencies are quite close because there is an enabling monitoring process that does not allow anyone to go beyond the shores of Bayelsa State if a crime is committed. So this one is not an isolated case. Definitely, we are within the range. We have the coverage points. The locations are properly known. But we are careful not to say certain things so that we don't harm the victim. Okay. Now, we also understand from information available, through interviews conducted on this station, Channel Television, that the closest police station is less than 3 minutes away on foot from where the incident happened. So if this security is, as you said, well mapped out, how could that have happened? Yeah, it should be a concern. We try not to give excuses because it's a sad situation, and it undermines what we've been celebrating over the years at Bayelsa State is highly peaceful. It is true that the scene where all of this happened, not really 3 minutes, because from that eatery point to Ekeki police station by foot is about 15 minutes, so it's not 3. But even if it's 1 hour, it's not an issue for us to say it's an excuse. No. The reality on ground is that the act was done, the footages are well taken, and as at the time the thing happened, to the moment all those coverage analysis were done within a period of 4 or 5 hours. But you understand, these are issues and criminal activities that one has to be very careful. It's not just like 2 people fought and you need to get the person apprehended. Even the abductees are holding guns or other weapons of lethal weapons, then you understand that going after them, you have to be very strategic and professional. And that's why we're saying, yes, we have been able to monitor and know exactly where the locations are or the location is, but then professionalism counts at this point. How do we do so that we get our brother, our jurist out unhurt, unharmed? And that's why everything is being done, but we continue to assure the public where the thing happened is Bayelsa State. And we are known. Not just in Bayelsa State, in the capital city of Bayelsa. Yeah, it's Yenagoa, but that is what makes it a little concerning. If it was in a rural area, one would probably understand. It's the same thing. In Yenagoa, the capital. Yeah, it's largely the same thing. When we talk about, the coverage of Bayelsa State in terms of security, it's not just about Yenagoa. It's everywhere. So whether you're in Basambri, in Nimbe, whether you're in Kolama in southern Niger, whether you're in Ogbia town, in Ogbia local government, the thing is the same coverage. The reason being that aerially, We have gone very high. Even if you talk about Nigerian Defense Security Agencies and the Directorate of Military Intelligence, they will tell you in Nigeria today that what Bayelsa State has in terms of monitoring and coverage of crime situations is just #1. Not because we are talking politics. No, we have.
Yet this happened.
Yes, even in the United States, we don't want to make excuses. Even in the United States and the UK, sometimes it's seen like this happen. And it takes days. Now, what we are saying, the most important thing is not whether we have been able to monitor and get things right. Yes, we have done that. The next thing, which is paramount, how do we get the gentleman out unharmed? That should be the concern of Nigerians. No more why did you allow it to happen? Nobody allowed it to happen, but little lapses sometimes happen from what happened at the scene, the informations we got, who called when we started the information. Because look, when we say we are monitoring an entire city and monitoring an entire state, it's not a single, digit arrangement. You're monitoring everywhere. So by the time you get a reportage, and then the call for operations, by the time you follow, the person who committed the crime to has moved to a point, we have monitored and we are assuring the public. The public should be well assured that the monitoring and evaluation of the situation is top-notch, and we know it is going to be solved. We're going to dissolve it in the most appropriate way, and in a manner that does not undermine good governance and good conscience.
Well, you talked about security and, beg your pardon, intelligence gathering and all of that. Was this something that government saw coming? Could this have been avoided?
The evil construction in a man's mind is what even the best psychologists have not been able to predict. But the thing is, in Bayelsa State, we work proactively. We try as much as possible to preempt situations, and that's why proactive crime fighting in Bayelsa State is top-notch. We do that, and then the reactive aspect of it becomes a near-zero kinetic arrangement. And so when we say, did we predict it? Did we envision it? No. Nobody expected that to happen. Why? Because in Bayelsa State so
would you say that this is a failure of intelligence?
It's difficult to make an outright condemnation, but one thing is clear. For about 3 years, this is the third time we are hearing the case of kidnapping by Bayelsa State. The first two were nearly immediately dissolved, and this one is the only one that is giving us concerns, and we are telling the public even this one will be dissolved.
Why is it a little difficult?
Yeah, because of the sophistication of the arrangement. You see, when a matter of kidnap happens, even the civilized claims, I'm a security expert, so I'm talking from an expert perspective. When matters like this happen, you don't rush into it.
Okay.
You follow it professionally, and you ensure that the results that will come out.
Well, Nigerians are waiting for your professional results, because at the end of the day, we don't want a jurist found dead anywhere. We want him to
never at all. It won't happen
to his family. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Via that, Abednego is technical advisor, communication and strategy to the Bayelsa State Governor. We appreciate your time again.
Thanks for having me.
That's the show this morning. Thanks for the privilege of being a part of your morning. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Ayo Makinde.
Well, on top of the hour is Business Morning. Thank you for watching. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.